Gang harasses black woman at her diner, then learns. She's the most feared federal agent. The night air in South Ridge was heavy with rain and neon. The sign outside Lila's diner flickered softly, the kind of old-fashioned place where truckers stopped for coffee and regulars sat in the same booth for years. Inside, the aroma of fried bacon and freshly brewed coffee filled the room. The only sound came from the faint hum of the jukebox and the scrape of a mop across the floor. Lila Carter, the owner, worked the late shift herself most nights. Tall, graceful, with kind eyes that hid something sharper beneath, she carried herself like a woman who'd seen more than she let on. To most folks, she was just Miss Lila, the woman who ran the best diner in 3 counties. But to a few men in Washington, she was something else entirely. A name whispered with both respect and fear. Agent Carter, Federal Intelligence Division. But tonight, she wasn't Agent Carter. She was just a tired woman closing her diner past midnight. Or so she hoped. The bell above the door jingled, cutting through the quiet. 5 men walked in, loud, drunk, tattoos crawling up their arms, the kind of energy that made the air feel heavy. "Yo, this place even open?" One of them barked. Lila didn't flinch. She wiped her hands on her apron and said calmly, "Kitchen's closed, but I can make you some coffee." The leader, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek, grinned mockingly. "Coffee? What are you, my grandma?" His crew laughed. One of them whistled at Lila as she turned toward the counter. "Man, she got that boss lady vibe. Maybe she needs some company tonight." The laughter that followed was sharp, cruel. Lila poured the coffee without a word, her hands steady, her face unreadable. She slid the mugs across the counter. "There you go, boys. Sugar's right there." The scarred man took a sip, then spat it on the floor. "Hot damn, woman, you trying to burn my tongue?" His crew erupted in laughter again. Lila looked at him, voice calm as still water. "You asked for coffee, not an iced latte." The laughter stopped. Something about the way she said it, controlled, precise, unsettled them. The scarred man leaned closer. "You got a mouth on you, lady. What if I don't like it?" Lila met his gaze evenly. "Then maybe you should leave before it gets you in trouble." His hand slammed down on the counter, making the mugs jump. "Trouble? You think you can threaten me, some diner waitress?" The other men circled around, their shadows stretching long in the flickering light. Lila didn't move. Her voice dropped, low and dangerous. "I don't threaten, sweetheart. I warn." The scarred man laughed and reached out to grab her wrist. In one motion, Lila twisted his arm, slammed it onto the counter, and pinned him before anyone could blink. The man howled in pain. His crew froze. "Lady, what the—" one started. In a flash, Lila reached behind her counter and pulled out a small black case. She flipped it open, revealing a silver badge with the federal seal gleaming under the Federal Intelligence Division, Special Agent Tyner Light. Federal Intelligence Division. Special Agent Federal Intelligence Division. Special Agent Lila Carter. The room went dead silent. The leader's bravado drained from his face as she leaned closer, voice cold as steel. "You just assaulted a federal agent." His buddies stepped back instinctively. "You're lying," one muttered, but even he didn't sound sure. Lila let go of the man's arm. He stumbled back, clutching it. "You're crazy," she smiled faintly. "Not crazy, just patient." From the back door came a faint creak. The gang turned. Too late. 3 unmarked SUVs rolled to a stop outside, red and blue strobes flickering silently through the diner windows. Within seconds, armed agents in tactical gear poured in, weapons drawn but disciplined. FID. Hands where we can see them. The gang froze. The scarred man raised his trembling hands. Wait, we didn't know." "We didn't—" "Yeah," Lila said, folding her arms. "You didn't." The lead agent approached her. "Ma'am, are these the targets?" She nodded once. "All 5. Wanted for armed robbery and trafficking. Been watching them for 3 months." The scarred man's eyes went wide. "You set us up?" Lila tilted her head. "No, you set yourselves up. You just couldn't resist trouble, could you? The agents cuffed the men one by one. As they were dragged out, one of them shouted, "You were supposed to be some diner lady." Lila smirked. "I am, but I also happen to clean up more than tables." When the last man was taken, the diner fell quiet again. Only the hum of the fridge and the ticking of the wall clock remained. The lead agent turned to her, admiration in his voice. "You sure you're okay, ma'am?" Lila smiled, taking a deep breath. "I'm fine. Just another long night." He hesitated. "You could have called backup sooner." She shrugged. "Sometimes the bad ones need to see who they're dealing with face to face." As the SUVs pulled away, rain began to fall again. Lila walked over to the counter, wiped up the spilled coffee, and set the mugs aside. Then she poured herself a fresh cup, sat by the window, and watched the red and blue lights fade into the distance. Her hand trembled slightly as she lifted the cup. Years of undercover work, endless danger, always pretending to be someone else. It took its toll. But when she looked at the empty diner, she smiled softly. Because this place, her little diner, wasn't just a cover. It was her piece, the one corner of the world that still felt human. The next morning, the local news played the footage. 5 suspects arrested overnight in connection with a multi-state crime ring. Arrest led by undercover federal agent Layla Carter. Regular customers poured in that morning, chatting excitedly. One of them, an old trucker, grinned and said, "Heard some crazy stuff happened here last night, Miss Lila. You okay?" She smiled, pouring his coffee. "I'm fine, Joe. Just caught some rats sneaking in after hours." He laughed, shaking his head. "You always keep this place safe." Lila looked out the window at the sunrise breaking over the highway. That's the idea. Her reflection in the glass showed both sides of her, the humble diner owner and the silent protector hidden beneath. And for a brief, quiet moment, she allowed herself to breathe. Morale. Real strength doesn't always wear a badge or raise its voice. Sometimes it wears an apron, serves coffee, and waits patiently until it's time to stand up. Never underestimate the quiet ones. They often carry the loudest courage,